As Miami Dolphins training camp begins this week, we are wrapping up our preview series, and we will preview the Dolphins defense and special teams heading into training camp this week. We'll go over the depth charts as I see them on both defense and special teams. Plus, I'll have prospect profiles of Kenneth Grant and Dante Trader. That'll include some all-22 and a whole lot of information, including in-depth scouting reports. So do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. And let's get into this one.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown.
And he will score!
Field down the near side, man open, touchdown!
The run from Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's going to open a touchdown again.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through and taking some time out of your afternoon for this midday matinee, as we got to discuss the defense and the special teams heading into training camp. Tomorrow, I'll be live and I'll go over my top position battles heading into training camp. So we'll talk about those in depth tomorrow. All right. Now, in terms of what we got, and speaking of some rookies with training camp around the corner, as we know, Jonah, Savaiinaea, he just wrapped it up, man. He is now fully guaranteed, and I got some things to talk about it, man. But first of all, shout out to everyone in the chat that's coming through right now. Appreciate all y'all taking some time out of your day. Shout out to Dolphins Frank, Chef Jew, Sleazy Meta, Aladino Mass, B Rob, Robert Thomason 99, the Wayne D Experience, the homie Austin Foxing Around, 1017 Man, Michael Lombardo, Dolphins Man Jared, the Mad Greek, appreciate you, sir. I got your email too. I appreciate the image you sent, buddy. Paul Holland, shout out to you. Good Sunday to you too, sir. Elwood Hodge and Day One, appreciate all y'all coming through. Over 70 of you in the room right now as we kick it off. Please do me the favor, smash that like button. These are the videos that get demonetized. Last week I did this video and I basically did it for free because it got demonetized right away. All 22 gets these demonetized, but like I tell you guys every time, I'm not going to sacrifice the quality of what I do and what I can provide for you just for a few bucks. Not going to happen. So shout out to Dave in the chat as well, Jeffrey Ward, all of y'all coming through. Appreciate each and every one of you. Michael Lombardo. So yeah, one thing I do want to talk about with Jonah Savaiinaea, I want to cover his deal a little bit here, because I see people, I see people, oh, the Dolphins gave in. Oh, the Dolphins caved. Oh, it's a bad decision. They should have let him sit out. Like, there's always that small minority that want to be contrarians just for the sake of being contrarians. I mean, how can you argue against this? I mean, listen, when Jaden Higgins and Carson Swessinger got their fully guaranteed deals, I told you this is exactly where it was heading. Like, I don't know why anyone's surprised, number one. Number two, did anyone see what Tyler Shuck just got? He's the 40th overall pick. The 40th overall pick got fully guaranteed. So we're at right now 33 to 40 is basically fully guaranteed. The only guy who's not getting a fully guaranteed deal is Quinshon Judkins, and that's because he's got a domestic battery charge. But everyone else, I mean, and what are you doing? Like, I see, oh, you should have let him sit out in training camp and blah, 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 blah. Okay. How would the optics look to anyone in management if Brandon Shore and Chris Greer, Chris Greer who traded up for him, Brandon Shore doesn't want to open up the pocketbook with Greer. How would that look that you traded up for this guy and you decided to play games with him? That just wouldn't be a good look. And here's the thing, too. This wasn't even just players. This was agencies. 33 to 40 were not just all one athletes first. We're not all just represented by athletes first. We're talking about like CAA, athletes first. Every single agency took a stand here. This wasn't like literally just players saying, oh, in a group text, oh, yo, we're going to do this. No, agents were taking a stand. And just the optics would have been terrible had they forced him to hold out. I mean, and so, you can't sit here and say the Dolphins caved, because then what are you going to say about every other team from 33 to 40 that gave a guarantee? They all caved? And I'll be honest, too. I am shocked that I'm hearing people now for the players a little bit more, because really, all they did was guarantee the fourth year. The first 3 years are pretty much guaranteed. All they really did was guarantee the fourth year. But further than that, okay? Guys, what are we doing here defending the old boys club, right? Jerry Jones and these older owners, these older white owners, might I add you, they're the ones that don't want to hand out this money. Yeah, and 40 years ago, you can make a case some of them are probably racist too, so they've changed. But, I mean, like, where are we at here right now? I just don't get this. I don't get the pushback on making sure that your future of the interior is ready to go with training camp and there's no distractions. I think this is, TCB, taking care of business. And I think this is good business. Because here's the thing. This is the trend. This is the trajectory. There's no escaping from it. You want to run away from it? You want to run away from the reality? Knock yourself out. But how far is that going to get you in life when you run away from the reality? You had to handle this. You had to take care of this. I'm just shocked that I see people pushing back on this. It's mind-boggling, because this was a no-brainer. You had to do this. It's not like, again, it's not like he's got serious issues off the field like a Quinshon Judkins or distractions off the field like Tyreek Hill. We're talking about a straightforward, and you go back to him in Arizona, man, like this guy could have transferred out of Arizona, but he wanted to try and bring a division title and a championship. Sorry, a conference title. Well, and a division title, because they hadn't won any since like 94 in Arizona. So I don't understand the pushback at all. So, this is where it's heading with all this money that's coming in over the cap's expected to go up 25 to 30 million. And this is where it's at right now. 33 to 40 fully guaranteed. Then we get from 40 to 50, 55. You're going to get in that range, you're going to get 80 to, you're going to get, well, the higher you are in the 40s, you're going to get 90 to 80% guaranteed. And then you're going to see like 55 to 62 get about 70 to 80% guaranteed this year. And then that's going to change. I told you guys when Jaden Higgins and Schwessinger signed it, we are going to be living in a world soon enough. In a couple of years, second round picks and third round picks will probably have fully guaranteed deals. And you'll be getting into fourth round picks are probably having 90% of their deal guaranteed, and listen, I'm pretty, I don't want to say passionate, but I'm pretty adamant about this point. If there are any athletes in professional sports that deserve fully guaranteed contracts, it's not soccer players, okay, making 400 million euro Okay, it's not soccer players. Now, the conditioning and the stamina is second to none for soccer players. I'll give them that. Okay? But it's not basketball players who are getting fully guaranteed stupid deals. You know, I think the people, not baseball players for sure. The players in professional sports that need guaranteed contracts, to me at least, are football players and hockey players. These guys are sacrificing the quality of their life basically from their 40s on beyond. Now, there's going to be baseball players and basketball players who have certain injuries that's going to affect the quality of life 110%. But the majority, when you look at each league, the majority of guys who are going to be sacrificing their quality of life, and it don't matter if you're a starter or a second stringer, are football players and, hockey players. That's just where we're at. The contact and the beating these guys are taking, hockey players got to take it for 82 games, plus if you make the playoffs, you sweep every series, that's a minimum of an extra 16 games. So these guys playing over 100 hockey games a year if you make the playoffs and you go to the cup, right? Now, for football players, they're increasing the schedule every year, right? They want to add another game now, right? And I just, look at the contact these guys take, man. I mean, and another thing is, we know NFL owners have also been stingy on medicals. So, and, medical care and stuff like that. So, listen, this is the way it's trending. Get on board or get out of the way is basically the conversation to be had there. And this wasn't one team caving, because then what do you say about everyone else in the 30s up to 40? 40 got a guarantee. Tyler Shuck got a guaranteed contract at 40. So this isn't, you want to say the whole NFL is caving? Okay, knock yourself out. But the problem is, they had to. Period. This is where it was trending. So, I mean, look at why you have a holdout over in Cincinnati, and look at how ugly. Like, you want it getting like as ugly as it's getting in Cincinnati right now with Shamar Stewart, all because you don't want to guaranteed money. You want to change the language in the contract a little bit, which actually impacts the medical aspect of it. You want to be those guys? You want to be those guys? You know how embarrassing it would be if we were the only one from 33 to 40 that didn't hand out a guaranteed contract, aside from the Browns, who aren't handing out a one because Quishon Judkins has a domestic battery charge. What would the optics be? Oh, Jonah Savaiinaea, loyal player, clean player, no issues on field or off field. Yeah, we don't want to guarantee him the money, while the only other team making the argument in the 30s is the Cleveland Browns, and that's because they just found out that Quishon Judkins, I mean, I don't know if you guys read into it, it's not good. Quishon Judkins, did what he did to to a woman. Like, you want to put them on the same pedestal? How's that going to look? Like, all I got to say is thank God all of y'all pushing back on this. I'll thank God. Because I see you on YouTube. I see you on X. I see you guys. Small minority. The ones who always got to be the contrarians, right? No matter what the subject is. Thank God you guys aren't making business decisions. That's all I got to say. Holy jeez. We'd be up the creek with no paddle. But let's get into my preview. Before we do get into my preview, though, I do want to shout out the sponsor of today's video, and that would be Clean the World. All right, Clean the World works with over 8,300 hospitality partners to divert their soap bars and plastic amenities from landfills and recycle the collected soap into new bars. By doing so, Clean the World helps reduce pollution, save water, and decreases the carbon footprint of thousands of hotels globally, while helping improve the lives of women, children, and communities. Since it was established in 2009, Clean the World has distributed over 80 million bars of soap. The organization has also diverted 9 million pounds of plastic amenity bottles and over 29 million pounds of total waste from landfills, and helped Clean the World Foundation provide an estimated 17 billion individual hand washes to those in need across the globe. By recycling soap and other discarded hygiene products, Clean the World saves lives with items that traditionally end up in landfills. You can donate or even volunteer to help clean the world's cause at cleantheworld.org. That's cleantheworld.org. Shout out to Clean the World. I say it all the time. If there's one sponsor you're ever gonna support of mine, make sure you sponsor Clean the World. All right. Now, without further ado, let's get into what we got today. We are going to go over the depth charts first, how I see them, and there's always a method to my madness. You know that. So let's get into it, and let's start off with the defense. So with the defense for me, at left defensive end, we got Zach Sealer, Matthew Butler, Zeke Biggers, and Alex Huntley. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you see someone that knows, if you see someone at left defensive end, right defensive end, outside linebacker, wherever, I lined everyone up, if they're a rookie coming out, all right, whether they're UDFA or drafted, where did you play the most? So, for example, I'll give you one. BJ Adams, you see that right corner. The majority of his snaps in college came out right corner, right? Or if they were even, like if they were close to being even, I would put the people, like, let's say BJ Adams played 147 at left corner and 146 at right corner, but I need another body added to right corner because it's basically you can play anywhere, either side. I'm going to put you where I need the hole filled for the aesthetic look, all right? So, Zach Sealer, I mean, we've talked about this. I mean, you know, arguably best, you know, well, not arguably. He is a top 10 interior defensive lineman. There's just no doubt about it. All right. Now, I got Matthew Butler ahead of Zeke Biggers just because of his experience. But Zeke Biggers is another guy who can move around a little bit, right? You know, he's not just going to be pigeonholed to that left side, but he did take a lot of snaps there at the left side. And then Alex Huntley, who I think is going to be a camp body that can maybe eventually get on the practice squad. So that's how I see that working out. But yeah, you know, is Zeke Biggers going to overtake Matthew Butler? I don't know. That's going to be a daunting task to ask of Zeke Biggers. But hey, you never know. You never know. This kid's impactful. I love his game. I love what he offers in his ceiling, and you know, he's another guy too where, like I said, I mean, he can move all around. You know, he can play nose if you need him to, right? Again, he can play defensive tackle on the left side or the right side. He took the most of his on the left side. That's why I've got him here. And again, he can line up as an end if you need him to. So he's very versatile. Now, nose tackle. I got Benito Jones and Jordan Phillips. But again, Zeke Biggers could take reps there. Kenneth Grant could take reps there if you need him to. So, you know, it's not just, it only looks like two guys there, but it's more. But Benito Jones and Jordan Phillips. Now, I'm going to have Dante Trader film later. You'll see some Jordan Phillips in those clips. If you actually watch the interior, you'll see him in those clips too. But again, this interior, I love the upside. I love the upside of this interior. So I think Jordan Phillips is another guy where you got to watch the film. If you stat box, you know, if you score box watch with him like you did with Chop Robinson, you're going to end up looking pretty silly potentially. You know, this kid's got a pretty high ceiling. I like what he offers. And I think there's a path to quite a few reps for Jordan Phillips in year one. I really do. Now, at defensive end on the right side or defensive tackle there, you got Kenneth Grant as well as Ben Stille and Matt Dickerson. You know, Zeke's another guy who could, again, play on this side if you need him to. In terms of Dickerson and Stille, I don't really have high expectations. I do think Ben Stille is the one that will stick out of the two of them. If one of the two does stick, I would put my money on Ben Stille if I were you. But Dickerson, to me, he's just a camp body. Now, outside linebacker, okay? Here's the thing. Let's talk about the left side. All right. I could have labeled this as a Leo. I could have labeled this as a Jack. There's so many different labels I could have went with that I just stuck with left outside linebacker. I mean, I could have named it rush linebacker. There's just different things that these guys are asked, and there's different looks we come out in. So I just wanted to get that out of here, okay? So Jalen Phillips, I got him taking the starting spot when he returns. Again, Chop Robinson, he's second here, but he could very well take over first spot, not only if Jalen Phillips gets hurt, but if he has the breakout season some of us are expecting him to have. I mean, he could take Jalen Phillips' spot. Let's be honest here. He can also play on the other side on the right side. So, you're going to see looks where you're going to have Phillips and Chop flanking each end. You're going to have looks where you see Chubb and Phillips flanking both ends. And you're going to see looks where you got Chubb and, of course, Chop Robinson flanking both ends. Now, Mo Kamara, again, this is where he took the majority of his snaps last year off the left side. And then Derek McLendon, I think that's just another camp body. Mike, Jordan, Brooks, KJ Britt, Channing Tindall, Eugene Asante. KJ Britt, again, another fit at Mike, but he could go Will if you need him to. And then at Will, I got Tyrell Dotson and Willie Gay Jr. and Daquan Jackson. I think Eugene Asante, I think he's going to leap Channing Tindall because Eugene Asante is a better athletic profile. I think he can, offer you something on special teams, maybe a higher ceiling. And I think just because Channing Tindall, kind of like Eric Izakama, the train might have left. The train might have left on that one. So, and I'm going to be honest, I'll make another bold prediction. Another guy that I think, and we'll talk about in the training camp battles tomorrow, I think Willie Gay Jr. has a chance to leap Tyrell Dotson. I really do. And Willie Gay is a guy where you could flex him out, right? You could flex him out at outside linebacker, right? You want to use him as a rush linebacker? You can use Willie Gay as a rush linebacker if you need to. A Leo, a Rio, whatever. You can use him as that. So that's how I see the interior linebacking core shaping up. And then on the right side, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Bell, Grayson Murphy, Cameron Good. Again, Grayson Murphy, a majority of the stuff he took on UCLA and in the preseason last year was as a right outside linebacker. So I think Grayson Murphy, I think he's got a chance to jump Quentin Bell. I think if he has a strong camp and strong preseason, I would not be overly shocked if you see Grayson Murphy make a leap up this depth chart. That would not overly shock me. But if you notice, what I'm talking about, Chop could play both sides, the interchangeability I went over on the interior defensive line as well as the interior linebacking core. A lot of these guys can just move around and you can give a lot of different looks with these guys. So, like that. At cornerback, yep, I got him. I got him out of nickel. I had to. Based on what our depth chart is right now, how are you going to put Kader Kohu in that nickel and have Storm Duck and, Cam Smith or Ethan Bonner? It just doesn't make sense. So I got Kader Kohu and Storm Duck as based on my depth chart and where they're most comfortable playing as your starting corners right now. Now, could Cam Smith have a big training camp and leap Storm Duck? Sure. But on the right side, I got Ethan Bonner, BJ Adams, and Isaiah Johnson. I think that's a very interesting battle. Is Ethan Bonner going to get more opportunities than he did last year? We know they love BJ Adams, who took the majority of his snaps on the right side. Now, in his final year, I think he took a couple more snaps on the left side, but if you look at his entirety at UC in college, he was mainly on the right side. Now, Isaiah Johnson's another one where I got him as a potential breakout player. You know, like if Ethan Bonner isn't getting the opportunities and he isn't in great standing with this defensive staff, that could open the door for Isaiah Johnson to move up the depth chart. And BJ, really. At the other corner spot, I got Storm Duck, Cam Smith, Jason Marshall, Ethan Robinson again. What's Jason Marshall going to be? Now, I didn't do a prospect profile on him. The issue I got with Jason Marshall is if he doesn't make an impact off the boundary, he's not a guy you're going to be throwing in there on special teams. So what are we doing here? So Jason Marshall is kind of pigeonholed where you better perform well and you better step up on the boundary, because if you don't, that's where your job is. Like, that's where your only usefulness really comes from right now. He's not a guy I'm putting in the slot either. Cam Smith, Chris Greer's called you out. This is basically do or die this camp for Cam Smith. You know, we haven't seen Chris Greer get this frustrated with Liam Eichenberg because at least Liam Eichenberg's been out there for them. Cam Smith isn't even giving you that. And then Storm Duck, after year one as a UDFA, is he becoming our next Nick Needham? I don't know. But when you look at the options, especially on that left side, Storm Duck's really the only sure thing there. Ethan Robertson out of Minnesota, he's another young UDFA they brought in. He's a good player. Maybe he provides something. And then at safety, again, interchangeable guys. At strong safety, I got Ifeatu Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, Dante Trader, Jordan Colbert. Now, Dante Trader can play in, he can play on the perch by himself or in split looks, or he can play in the box. Same kind of goes for Ifeatu Melifonwu. He can play in the box or split looks, or he can go up on the single on the perch by himself. Right? Jordan Colbert, I think he's just going to continue to be a practice squad guy. I don't see him breaking through those top three right there. I just don't. Ashton Davis, another guy. Can you stay healthy? Because if you do, you could be a great fit in that rotation. At free safety, I've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, Elijah Campbell, Patrick McMorris, and John Sanders Jr., the UDFA out of Ole Miss. Now, Patrick McMorris, I think he could leap Elijah Campbell here. I think he could become your number two. Again, a guy who can play all around. Minkah Fitzpatrick, again, a guy who can play on the perch and split looks by himself, down in the box. You know what I mean? Elijah Campbell, he's a great special teams contributor. They're really high on him as a young safety on this team. So the secondary is interesting because when you put it to paper, the safety room has, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Ashton Davis, Dante Trader, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Patrick McMorris. I really like those five as a unit and in the rotation. Remember, we're going to be seeing a lot of three safety looks. Weaver likes to utilize that. They did it big time in Baltimore, and now I think they've got more bodies available where if they all stay healthy, they're going to have an easier job of fielding three legitimate safeties out there on the field. I like John Sanders too. I really do. I'm not going to lie. He interests me. He intrigues me. At nickel, I got Artie Burns, Kendall Sheffield, and Ryan Cooper Jr. Again, Artie Burns, Kendall Sheffield, and Ryan Cooper. This is where they've taken the majority of their snaps at nickel. So that's why they fit there the best. Artie Burns, I see out of the three of them as being your starting nickel. Unless Kendall Sheffield has some kind of revelation at training camp. So there is the nickel. If you want my honest opinion, nickel like the weakest right now because you don't want to take Cater off the boundary. Yeah, I think I like the potential. I can see why they're not handing out a lot of money to veteran corners because you can see the potential, right? Like if Storm Duck builds off of next year, you're good. If Artie Burns continues to be reliable in the nickel, you're good. If Cater Kohu continues to improve off the player you saw in the second half of the season last year where the light bulb was going on, you're good. It's just kind of like the offensive line. The depth is going to be very questionable. Like, you know, is Ethan Bonner going to recapture the magic that he had under Fangio? Is their love for BJ Adams going to be justified with good play? Is, you know, a lot of people are hyping up Isaiah Johnson, including me. Is he going to continue to elevate? Cam Smith, is he finally going to give us a return? Jason Marshall Jr., is he going to look more like the 5-star recruit rather than the failed project with the Gators? You know, just a lot of unknowns there. So that's how I see the defensive depth chart playing out. All right. Now, for special teams, all right, this is where it gets a little interesting. A little interesting here. So, my special teams depth chart and how I see it playing out. Kicker is obviously going to be Jason Sanders, but punter, I got Ryan Stonehouse ahead of Jake Bailey. I'm sorry. Because Jake Bailey knows how to hold for Jason Sanders? Sorry. Pass. That does not make you a priority to stay, in my opinion. And you save some money against the cap if you get rid of Jake Bailey. Peace out. Kick return and punt return. Obviously, if you want to go the route, Devon Achane would be number 1. I think Malik flashed a lot last year. He'd be my number 2 guy. D. Eskridge is a guy where you can just, depend on him, right? He's got a pass with it. He's good at it. He's done it at the NFL level. And then the 4th guy I got on both is AJ Henning, right? The undrafted free agent that they added from Northwestern. I mean, we're talking about a guy who runs a 4.4, and he's already been known as a great special teams player and returner while in college, right? The guy's an absolute beast when it comes to returning the football, right? I mean, he had a return with Michigan in 2022 for, 61 yards and a touchdown, a punt return. So, I mean, you go look at him. I mean, his first year in Michigan, he averaged 29.8 yards as a kick returner on average, and he averaged about 9.4 yards on the punt return average. He's got longs of 61, 32, 23, and 27 yards as a punt returner. As a kick returner, 36, 31, and 26 yards. So he just makes the most sense. If you're going to groom someone or someone's going to get opportunities, that's probably going to end up landing on the practice squad. That's a guy you're grooming if you got to call up this year, is AJ Henning. So I see him getting a lot of the reps to see what they got in him in training camp. Long snapper, obviously we changed over to Joe Cardona. And then the gunners. So I got Artie Burns, Elijah Campbell, Dante Trader Jr., and Kendall Sheffield. Again, Artie Burns at the NFL level, ton of experience as a gunner, right? Just, that's what he can do. That's what he offers you. And they had to replace it, obviously, with the loss of Ciaran Neal, right? And then when you look at Elijah Campbell, he's been a reliable gunner for them already. So, that's not going to change. That's not going to change at all, I don't think, anytime soon. Right? Then you got a guy like Dante Trader Jr. Took gunner reps in college. He offers you special teams versatility. I think you're going to see that for sure. And then Kendall Sheffield. You go look at his 2024 season last year, and he was taking gunner reps on the left and the right side. So again, all these guys that I have here listed at gunner, whether it be Kendall Sheffield, Dante Trader Jr., Elijah Campbell, Artie Burns, they've got known gunner reps. I'm not just picking names out of the air. Did my research, and didn't have to do my research on the first two or even the third one, but I looked up Kendall Sheffield just to make sure, and sure enough, boom, fit. So that's how I see the gunner jobs working out. This is just basically how I see special teams working out. I mean, sorry, Jake Bailey, but we're not holding on to this guy. That's for sure. So that is how I see everything working out regarding the depth charts with defense and special teams heading into training camp. Again, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. We are about to get into some prospect profiles for each and every one of y'all. We got a lot to go over here, and you know who we're going to start off with. And obviously, we're going to start off with the culture changer in the defensive trenches. That would be Kenneth Grant with the 13th pick of the 2025 NFL draft. The Miami Dolphins selected one of my biggest man crushers of the draft. Someone I've been saying for months they are heavily interested in drafting and Zach Sieler's future running mate Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. Grant was also DT1 on my 2025 NFL draft defensive tackle big board. Like Jonah Savaiinaea on the offensive side of the trenches, Grant is a physical tone setter on the defensive side of the football. That isn't just a step, but a leap in the right direction when it comes to the Miami Dolphins trying to shed that soft label. Grant was kind of stuck in Mason Graham's shadow, only being named to the second team All Big Ten in his final 2 seasons. But I think the ceiling on him is much higher as a pro player. Whether he's winning with a bull rush to hunt down the quarterback for a sack or fighting through a double in pursuit of a running back he eventually takes down, there's some truly impressive things Grant does that make you sit back in your chair in awe. Grant is also a top-tier run defender. He can eat up doubles. He maintains good gap integrity, can shed and stack blockers, can win with just pure ox-like power. And Grant is capable of chasing down running backs 10-plus yards downfield like he did against Penn State back in 2023 when he caught up to and took down Katron Allen, one of the most impressive high motor plays you'll ever see from an interior defensive lineman. Needless to say, his motor runs red hot, making him even more of a handful for a blocker for 4 quarters until the sound of the very last whistle. Kenneth Grant also boasts a really solid anchor that can make him damn near immovable for a blocker. As a pass rusher, I've seen him push pockets back on the bull rush with one hand and then finish off the quarterback like he did against Penix Jr. against Washington in the 2023 college football playoff national championship game. Grant can use his power to overwhelm an offensive lineman with his raw power through a bull rush, uses explosiveness, length, and athleticism to win with a swim-over move to instantly penetrate the backfield. He utilizes the rip like Dolphins edge rusher Chop Robinson likes to, and although I do think he needs to expand his bag of pass rush tricks a little more, the upside as a rusher from the interior is very high. He offers you versatility up and down the defensive front, has nimble feet, hands that are lightning quick, that are consistently well placed, and can send a thunderbolt through a blocker to stun them with his punch. One of the things I love most about Grant is that he'll do whatever it takes to impact a play, whether it's opening up lanes by eating a double for teammates, hunting down the quarterback or ball carrier himself, or even batting down balls at the line of scrimmage, as he had 12 over the last 2 years. He just never takes a down off. As for areas of improvement in his game, like I said earlier, Grant is going to have to continue to expand his pass rush repertoire, with the primary focus being on already proven players at this level like Sieler, Robinson, as well as the returning Phillips and Bradley Chubb, which should make the transition a lot easier than walking into a defensive line room with bare cupboards when it comes to talent. And Kenneth Grant, the Miami Dolphins, are not only getting a running mate for the future to pair with Zach Sieler, but I believe they're getting a super high ceiling player that screams future all-pro, who can be disruptive as a player like Vita Vea is, just more athletic version. The Miami Dolphin fans were in love with Wilkins. Get ready to fall head over heels for Kenneth Grant, who I believe has the potential to be a better pro player than Wilkins, especially as a pass rusher. During this past rookie minicamp, Kenneth Grant referred to himself as a culture changer. And listen, he should have the opportunity and the chances in his rookie season to be just that. It's going to be up to him to live up to a little bit of his own hype. So he's going to have the opportunity to back that statement up if he can rise to the occasion when the chances to be a difference maker for the Dolphins defense present themselves. So big fan of what Kenneth Grant does, and I love what we got here at 13. I think that front seven has the potential to be super, super special, man. It really, really does. And, man, listen, don't use Kenneth Grant as an excuse to not pay Zach Sealer. Use Kenneth Grant as an excuse to pay Zach Sealer. What do I mean by that? You could have a formidable duo on that interior for Kenneth Grant's remaining rookie deal if you take care of Zach Sealer. So that's what I would do. Now, let's get into another guy that, wasn't high on the pick when we made it, but like Patrick McMorris, I've gotten higher and higher on this pick as time has gone on and I've revisited the film and such. So for me, they added a versatile chess piece in Dante Trader Jr. For the second year in a row, Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins selected a safety on day 3 of the NFL draft. In 2024 is Patrick McMorris from Cal, and this year it was Dante Trader Jr. out of Maryland. Similarly to how I felt about the McMorris selection last year, I wasn't too thrilled with the Dante Trader selection, but as you all know, McMorris grew on me quickly throughout training camp, and once I found out McMorris was a favorite of the scouting department, that made me like the pick even more. As I've dove deeper into the film on Dante Trader Jr., I've become more of a fan of this pick as well, which also seems like it was once again at the behest of the Dolphins scouting staff to draft him in the 5th round with pick 155. There's also been he's also what's also been very positive up until this point is that through rookie minicamp and OTAs, Dante Trader Jr. has been constantly active around the ball and the play while forcing multiple turnovers at OTAs, something his defense desperately needs after being ranked 27th in the NFL with only 10 interceptions and 6 fumbles recovered in 2024. His relative athletic score may not blow you away, but it's hard to deny that Dante Trader Jr. is quite the athlete. While playing high school football, he lined up a quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, and safety, which led to him being the 49th ranked cornerback in the 2021 recruiting class. Plus, he was a 5-star recruit and the number 9 ranked lacrosse player in the nation. At Maryland, Trader Jr. made an impact as soon as he was named a starter in the defensive backfield of the Terps. In his first year as a starter, his 2 interceptions led the team. In his second year, his 8 passes defended was the most of any player on the defense. And in 2024, after putting lacrosse to the side to focus on football, he earned honorable mention all Big Ten honors after posting 59 tackles, 5 passes defended, and 1 interception. In total, Trader Jr. accumulated 5 interceptions, 19 passes defended, forced 1 fumble, and had 174 tackles and 35 starts over the last 3 seasons. As I previously alluded to, Dante Trader Jr. didn't post the greatest RAS. He came in at 5'10 and 7/8, 196 pounds with an underwhelming 31-inch vertical, 9'9" broad jump, 4.65 40 time, 2.67 20-yard split, 1.58 10-yard split, 4.32 shuttle, and a 7.093 cone for a 3.62 RAS out of a possible 10, which ranks as the 790th best out of 1,236 strong safeties tested from 1987 to 2025. I do think he's a bit better of an athlete than what he tested at the combine, but he won't blow you away by any means. He just plays a little quicker when the lights come on from what I saw in film. I think where he really shines is in the mental aspect of the game with his high football IQ, as he's a very good processor and diagnoser with fantastic instincts, which leads to him putting himself in positions to make a play on the receiver, the running back, or the football. This also allows him to click and close very efficiently without having to rely on pure athleticism, which allows him to be dependable in man coverage. Trader Jr. is also very versatile as he's spent time on the perch and single eye or split looks. He can come down in the box. He can play off the line of scrimmage or out in the slot. I think at the next level, he's not an ideal fit as a nickel. Another thing Trader Jr. offers the Dolphins is the ability to contribute on special teams, which will be key to getting reps as a rookie. What I also like about Trader is there isn't a ton of wasted movement in his game, whether it's not losing a step while flipping his hips to stay in coverage or taking pursuit angles to make a tackle, which he's improved at, having missed only 3 tackles in 2024, a vast improvement from the 13 he missed in 2023. Trader Jr. also shows a physical side to his game, which really shows up in run support, which I think is one of the more underrated parts of his game. I was very impressed to see how involved and responsible he was in run fits. His sideline-to-sideline range is much better on tape than what you'd think it would be if you only looked at his RAS. I think his biggest issue at the next level, it's going to be his lack of ideal size, which could lead to tackle attempts being shedded and issues playing through traffic. His recovery speed also, it isn't great if he's beat cleanly. Speed receivers, especially out of the slot, will be a mismatch for him, and I think he needs to clean up his footwork a bit, especially out of his back pedal. Weaver loves to run 3 safety looks. Plus, as I mentioned, Trader Jr. can contribute on special teams like he did at Maryland. So I see him getting some opportunities to make plays as a rookie, especially if he carries over his strong rookie minicamp and OTAs into training camp and preseason games. I also believe the safety room, it's wide open behind Minka Fitzpatrick and Ifeatu Melifonwu, which works in the favor for the versatile defensive back to get his, to get his feet wet and get as many reps in as possible as he earns them. But I have a sneaky suspicion that one of or both Dante Trader Jr. and Patrick Morris could climb the depth chart, with Elijah Campbell being a career backup and special teams player to this point. Melifonwu and Ashton Davis injury histories as well have got to be taken into consideration in terms of him getting opportunities. Dante Trader is one of those players I'm most excited to monitor through training camp and the preseason. I just hope Dante Trader takes advantage of all the opportunities thrown his way on defense and special teams during training camp, preseason, and the regular season. I really do, because if he does take advantage of those opportunities, we might have a draft steal that's a playmaker on our hands in the Miami secondary, which, again, they desperately need after being near the bottom of the league in turnovers last year. So really excited to see what Dante Trader has to offer. He's, again, for rookies, the key is what? The key is you've got to be able to contribute on special teams, and he fits that bill, man. So, again, I've talked about this. When I talk about Dante Trader, I see a better version, a better replacement for Ciaran Neal. That's what I see in Dante Trader. So, I like this kid's film, man. At the time of the pick, I was low on it. There was other guys up there I wanted, but I've started to see the vision as I've, put my Dolphins schematic shades on and dove back into his film. So, yeah, I think we got something here potentially with Dante Trader Jr. So, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I'm going to get out of here, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. All right. And we are going to go over my top position battles for training camp. Then the Veterans Report on Tuesday. So we got a lot coming your way in terms of content. All right. And I've got a special guest lined up for this week that I think you guys are going to absolutely love, and it's going to shake the foundation a little bit. So it's a big name. So we'll see how that goes. Planning to record Wednesday, and I'll drop it this week after I record it. So a lot of content coming your way. All right. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new, and you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Appreciate each and every one of you. Please, if you can donate, go ahead and donate. But if you can't, just smash the like button. It goes a long way, especially on a video like this that is going to get demonetized. All right. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Fins up, baby. Have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whenever you're